Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with the Hunchback of Notre-Dame, Chapter 16, Notre-Dame Under Attack. Pierre had heard that Esmeralda was safe in Notre-Dame and that made him happy, but he missed Jolly. Life went on, however, and for the most part he thought no more about his wife. During the day he performed tricks on the streets with other tramps. At night he wrote. One day, as he was walking down the street, a heavy hand fell on his shoulder. When he turned around, he saw Claude Frollo. Pierre was shocked to see how pale his old teacher had become. "How are you, Pierre?" Claude Frollo asked. So, my health is doing fine. You've had no trouble, then? Not by my faith, none. Where are you going now? Nowhere, really. Then Claude Frollo asked the rider if he was happy, and Pierre said very much so. "But you are still poor?" Claude Frollo asked. "Of course," Pierre answered. Just then Phoebus and his company of guards raced by their horses. Claude Frollo stared coldly at the captain. "Why do you glare so at that soldier?" Pierre asked. "That is Captain Phoebus." "Phoebus?" Pierre shouted. "That's the soldier who caused all that trouble with Esmeralda." "What do you know of her?" Pierre looked strangely at Claude Frollo. "Nothing. I haven't seen her since the day of her trial when they were going to put her in the stocks." "Is that all you know?" "I heard she was taken into the sanctuary at Notre-Dame, but the courts have issued a decree that she is still to be punished. It's the first time they've done that. I've heard it yesterday." "What? What harm is it to have her stay at Notre-Dame?" "They believe she should be punished for trying to kill Captain Phoebus. I heard, too, that the soldiers said she was to blame. Quite amazing how he disappeared and then came back." "Do you want to help her?" "Oh, I am very busy with my books," Pierre replied. "How can you think of nothing that could help her?" "Well, we could try to get a pardon from Sir Robert." "He would never agree." Claude Frollo paced back and forth. "There is only one way we can save her." "Go on," Pierre said. "We must smuggle her out of the city. She must pretend to be you, and you will pretend to be her. And at the last minute you can reveal who you really are." "But they'll punish me instead." "Oh, they won't. You haven't done anything wrong." Pierre hesitated. He didn't want to be punished, and he had so many things to do. Walk the city, write his books. He didn't have time to be put in the stocks. "I don't think it's a good idea, but I will consider it." Pierre looked at Claude Frollo. A tear fell down the priest's face. "Fine, I will help," Pierre said, "but I've got a better idea." "Well," Claude Frollo started. "The tramps, my friends, they'll save her. She's a favorite among them. Here's the plan." He whispered into Claude Frollo's ear. When he finished, Claude Frollo shook Pierre's hand and said, "That will work." Claude Frollo returned to Notre-Dame and found Jehan. "Brother," he said, "I have come to see you." "What is it?" Claude Frollo asked without looking up at him. "I need more advice. You see you were right about school and studying. And I have been very bad, involved in folly, made a fool of myself. I owe everyone money. I want to lead a better life." "You do?" "Yes, but I need a little money first. I have none to give." "Truly?" Jehan asked. "Truly," Claude Frollo answered. "Well then," Jehan said, "I shall become a tramp." Claude Frollo looked at him coldly. "Fine." Jehan made a little bow and left the room. Claude Frollo watched him from the window. Just as he was about to leave the garden, he threw down a purse. "That is the last money you shall have from me." Jehan smiled and went away. Pierre sat in the corner of the dark room, surrounded by tramps. There was a big party going on. People were everywhere, dancing and singing. "Hurrah, hurrah," someone called out. "I am a tramp." It was Jehan. "I was a gentleman, but now I am one of you. And this is our plan tonight. We are going to Notre-Dame and save the girl." "Burn the place down. My fortune is gone, so now I join you all great men and women." "We must save Esmeralda." A woman handed Jehan his dinner. He sat down and started to eat, forgetting his speech at once. In the distance, the church bells rang. The beggar Clopin stood up and said, "That's it. Notre-Dame bells are ringing. It's time for us to go." The band of tramps left their warm room and walked along winding streets of Paris and Notre-Dame. Quasimodo couldn't help sleep after he rang the midnight bells. So he went upstairs and sat on top of the north tower. It was very dark. The only light came from the gate of Saint-Antoine. Strange things had been happening recently. Over the past few days, Quasimodo had seen men looking up at Esmeralda's window, and Claude Frollo had been acting odder than usual. Suddenly, Quasimodo noticed that the black line of water seemed taller than normal. He looked harder. They were heads! It was a crowd. They were moving toward the church. The long line of people went silent. They looked like a fog slowly creeping forward. Esmeralda, he thought. They must be coming for her. Quasimodo knew he had to stop them. The crowd grew nearer. They were carrying sticks and other weapons. They stopped in front of the church and lit their torches. Quasimodo knew some of the faces. The men and women who had crowned him the Pope of Fools. The tramps had taken their places around the church. Even Jehan was there. Clopin gave the order. The courts want to punish Esmeralda, even though she has claimed the safety of the church. We must save her. Let's go. The men moved up the stairs and tried to pry open the door. They pushed and pushed, but it would not budge. Then a giant beam fell from the top of the church and crashed to the ground. The tramps were scared and many of them ran away. They didn't know what had happened. Some thought it was magic. Get up, men, to the door, Clopin said. Let's go. The men looked at the beam and looked up the church. They didn't move. They were too scared. It's just a piece of wood, Clopin called. Nothing to be afraid of. Let's use it to break down the door. Hooray, the tramps cried as they bashed the beam against the door. The door made a sound like a big drum, but it didn't break. They hit it again. Then a shower of stones ran onto the tramps from above. It was Quasimodo. He was defending Notre-Dame. The hunchback knew that the door wouldn't hold for long. The tramps hit the door one more time and heard a giant bang among them. What was that? One of them cried. It's more magic, another one shouted. Let's go. This isn't worth our lives. A giant explosion came from the roof, lighting up all the sculptures on the side of the church and making them seem alive. Quasimodo was lighting firecrackers. What happened to everyone? Clopin asked when he looked around. Where'd they all go? The magic scared them all off, one of the tramps answered. Where's Pierre? He has run off too, the coward. And what about Jehan? Is he also gone? Come on, men. What will happen to Esmeralda if we don't save her? Jehan walked toward them carrying a ladder. Let's use this, he cried. Somehow he had found a strange metal helmet and wore it on his head. What are you going to do with that? Clopin asked him. Do you see that window up there? Clopin nodded. I'm going to use the ladder and get inside. From the hallway I can get into the church. In an instant, the ladder was up against the wall of the cathedral. Jehan started up slowly. It had just made inside the gallery when Quasimodo appeared. Hunchback groaned as he pushed the ladder off the wall. When it landed on the ground, it broke in half. No one else would be able to use it. Jehan was inside by himself with Quasimodo, who grabbed him, held him tight, and then tied him up. Pierre was having a bad night indeed, and he tried to get the tramps near the church. One of the king's guards pulled him aside the great hall where Sir Robert was waiting. The guard said, Here's one of the tramps that was attacking the city. Who are you and what are you doing? Sir Robert asked. Pierre hung his head. I am Pierre Gringoire. I am a poet, and this has all been one big mistake. Take him to jail, Sir Robert shouted. No, wait, Pierre started to explain that he was a very loyal citizen of Paris and not really a tramp at all. Oh, I recognize you now. You were the main man who wrote the play during the Festival of Fools. Sir Robert said, Let him go. He's not one of the troublemakers. As the guard stormed Pierre back into the street, another guard arrived. Sir Robert, he said, the crowd is attacking Notre-Dame. They're trying to save the gypsy girl. Sir Robert thought for a minute and then ordered everyone to fight the crowd. Make sure you take Captain F's guards with you, he added. They are the best we have. Pierre stumbled down the street until he came to a stop in front of the man in a black cloak. Is that you, Claude Frollo? You are late, as always, Pierre. It's not my fault. I was arrested by the king's guards. I don't care. What is the password of the tramps? Without the secret word, they won't let me near them, Claude Frollo said. Tell me now. Oh, it's Petite Flambe and Bastille. Yes, that's it. Good. Now they will let us pass. They've blocked up all the streets. Those tramps. I've got a key to the towers that will let us into the church. Let's go. So the two men raced down the street in the direction of Notre-Dame. Quasimodo looked outside and saw the crowd growing even angrier. He didn't know what to do. He was about to give up cause entirely when he saw Captain Phoebus and his men. A great fight broke out between his company and the tramps, but the soldiers were stronger. It was a fearful sight. The church and Esmeralda were safe, but when Esmeralda ran down the hallway and into her room, it was empty. She was gone! And that's the end of that chapter. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.